Hello, my name is Francis from Coding Anthem here. Today I'll be showing you how we can encrypt IDs on the URL in PHP using OpenSSL. First off, let's start with the encryption function. We are going to start by let's call it encrypt ID, and we pass the ID we want to encrypt. To encrypt with OpenSSL, we need two keys. We need the secret key, which we can use to encrypt and decrypt the file. Then we need the initialization vector. Normally the initialization vector is 16-bit length, so we need the encryption key, the secret key, and the encryption method that we are going to use to encrypt the ID. So let's first create these two things. So our encryption method, let's call it encrypt method. So this is going to be AES256, then CBC, then so also need the secret key. You can make it as strong as possible. Then next we need the initialization vector. This can be we need the initialization vector. So there we go. You can type anything. So what we're going to do here is that we get our key, then we first hash it. We first our secret key, we first hash it. Then next what we're going to do is to make sure that the initialization vector is 16-bit. So anything beyond 16 characters will be stripped. So we need to get the substring of the initialization vector. and this will be from 0 to 16. So even if your initialization vector exceeds, because our encryption method it expects 16-bit, so we must make sure that we get 16-bit initialization vector. So next, what we're going to do is to encrypt our ID. So here is our new ID, which will be equal to open SSL -encrypt. So this one roughly takes 5 parameters, and the first parameter is what we want to encrypt. Actually, you can encrypt anything from text or ID. So next we pass the encryption method. Can call it the encryption method. Then next we pass our key. Then next we pass, this, and we pass the initialization vector. Then what we are going to do, the final output, we are going to encode it in base64. So let's encode this in base64. Then we return the final results. Then let's make this a little bit nice and tidy. So let's say we have our URL right here, and we can echo out our URL. So we can add this into something like this. Let's call this go to page. So let's first add our ID here. Can call it user ID. Then so we encrypt this to the new ID, which is equal to encrypt ID, then our user ID, then we have to pass this here. So if we can do this, and we add our user ID, there you go. So and we try to go back to the source page. There we have our ID encrypted, so we must write a function to decrypt it on the destination page using the same secret key and the initialization vector. So if we can copy this and transfer it this side so that we can use it on this destination page for the decryption function. Pretty much everything is the same. So we only need to change our request. We first decode our request back from base 64, from our ID from base 64. Let's first do this. So we need to just change a few things. We need to first change this. First decode our let's base 64 decode. Then we need to pass our ID. In this case it's the ID. Then we need to pass the ID in the same function, but this time we need to change this to decrypt. So after decrypting, return our ID. So here is our decrypted ID. So in this case it's this, we pass it. So this time we call this the decrypt ID. Then we change this to decrypt ID. Then this is our final results. So if we go, we get back our ID. Okay, so to make this a little bit organized, we need to create a class that will help us do this on both sides without a need to copy the same code from here and place it on this page. It creates a redundancy, so we can create a class here, call it class don't crypto .php. Crypto, let's call it crypto. So we can create a class that will help us we call this crypto. Then we create public function which has our constructor, and then we copy both functions that we have created and we place them in this. So even if you remove this, so then we get to initialize our data right at the top, so we can call this private and this private. So and this private. Now let's move this a little bit close. So that's it. So if we can, in the case we have our encryption method, we can reference to this don't. So we call it encrypt method. Then this is our secret, so we can call this. Then this is our stone, we can get it from this, and yeah, that's it. Then we do the same for the encrypt. Then even for this. Then we can remove all of this. Then we can require this here. And you can specify class don't crypto python.php. Then we can initialize this here, crypt is equal to crypto is equal, sorry, this is equal to new crypto. Then we can call this crypt. We can call this script. So here we forgot encryption method from adding this, so we added this, so we are referencing this from here, so they are sharing the secret, then the initialization vector and the encryption method. Then we are calling this from here, then we do the same initialization this side. So try to remove this, and everything is nice and tidy. So try to create, I don't know why this script keeps bringing in this, but okay, so let's try to test this in the hopes that it won't throw errors. Let's first test this. Let's first test this. Let's first test this. Okay. Okay, it's working fine. So first, thank you for watching my video. That's all I wanted to tell you. Thank you for watching my video. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.